So we are now recording, not live, but we are recording. So, Carly, I'm going to dive straight into the introduction, which will be short and sweet, and then we're going to get stuck into it. I think my stomach just started groaning then. It is close to lunchtime. Okay.
I can't hear at my end. All good.
Yeah, it's good. I'll make a couple of noises from this end, but I can mute as I'm going. Here we go. Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. The podcast is designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. I'm going to do that again because I can hear my daughter outside chopping stuff on a chopping board. So
I can't hear it. So
you can't hear it?
No, I can't hear it.
Okay.
No.
I'm going to send her a text message. I've still got the video going. This is what the video. I actually think the video. If you watch all the videos, the beginning parts, there's usually a lot of errors that happen. So I'm just going to send my wife a message. It just says, "Who's chopping? Who's chopping?" Yeah, stop chopping. I can hear it. What? So that went off. I think. Okay, let's do it again.
I have builders next door too, so
no, that's okay. Usually you can edit out certain noise. So while you're talking, if all of a sudden there was a loud noise on my side, because I split the tracks, you can edit things out really easily. But if I'm talking and I can hear that, if I can hear the noise in the background, usually this microphone, you're going to be pretty close to it to pick it up properly. So anyway, so everyone who's put up with this video for this far into it,
sorry, apologies. We'll get into it.
Yeah, but I apologize on behalf of my wife and daughter for chopping. So let's do it again. Here we go. You always make me laugh, Carly. So
sorry, don't look at me.
Yeah, don't look at me.
Just blank me out. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. No, well, I don't. I'm not looking at you while I do the introduction because you make me laugh.
Sorry about that.
Here we go. This will be fun just to leave in the actual podcast, but I won't. Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. The podcast is designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. With me today is Carly O'Donoghue, and she is from Stepping Out Podiatry on the Sunshine Coast. And if it sounds like a little bit of a giggle in my voice, it's because we've had a couple of stop-starts with the introduction, and Carly always makes me laugh. So, Carly, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Tyson.
It is good to have you here.
It is great to be here.
So a question that I don't always ask every single guest, but it's a question I do want to ask you though, is why podiatry? What was it about podiatry that made you go, oh yeah, this looks like the profession for me?
Well, I don't ever think I said, oh yeah, this is the profession for me, because I went to uni to become a vet and I didn't get in. So you
went to uni or you applied to go to uni?
I applied to go to uni.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure you went to uni. Hey, I'm here to be a vet. And they go, sorry, we don't have a place.
They shut the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I then got into dietetics. So I went,
you're going to become a
dietitian. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Right.
See, I did not know that about you.
See, well, you're going to find out
all these conversations. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So during high school, really into health and fitness. So I thought, well, of course, I'm going to become a dietitian. I know all about food. Saying
health and fitness, did you play sport as well?
I did, yeah.
What was your sport?
The sport of choice, I played a few sports, but netball was the main one.
Okay. You weren't a shooter?
I wasn't a shooter. I was a little bit short for that.
That was just that was a guess. That was just a wild guess.
No, I was centre. And it's funny because they control where the players go and they can organise the team. So
you're a born organiser.
Born organiser.
We'll come back to that.
Meant to be in business from day one.
So you're into health and fitness. So you thought becoming a dietitian was the way to go.
Yeah, it sounded pretty interesting. And then I did a year of that. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. Liked the science part of it, but it was just boring for me.
Yeah.
And when I was walking to and from some classes, I ran into someone who I went to school with and I said, what are you doing? She goes, I'm doing podiatry. I went, oh, what's that? And she explained to me what it was and, all the anatomy stuff. And I said, I love anatomy. I go, well, I'll put that down next time as well. So you
finished that first year. So you finished the first year.
Yeah. Finished the first year, got a couple of credits and then went into podiatry because, as you know, the first year of any degree, pretty much everyone does the same subjects.
Yeah. Did you know Lyndon Hommening?
No.
Oh, Lyndon went through school with me right through. And then he went off to uni and I decided to go back and repeat. But when I was filling in all my preferences, same thing. Lyndon just happened to be at school. I said, Lyndon, what are you doing? He says, I'm doing podiatry. Same thing. I said, oh, what's that?
Yeah, look, it's funny when you reflect who comes into your life at certain parts
At the right
and
time.
that's right. So it's like that moving sliding doors.
Yeah.
Like, if you go one direction, you probably will end up somewhere different. You'll probably be the same person, but you'll end up doing something different. You choose, path B, and it all works out, but you've actually got a different degree under your belt.
So you reckon if that person hadn't have turned up in your life right at that moment, you would have finished doing dietetics, or were you thinking of switching anyway? Just something?
Yeah, I don't think I would have finished it. I would have switched, but I don't know what I would have gone into.
You think you would have tried to get back into vet science since you didn't get in the first time?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and I think that, or maybe I'd like to hope that I would continue doing uni and earning your credits enough to actually get in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because my daughter wants to be a vet.
Meant to be.
Yeah, my daughter wants to be a vet. So we're sort of looking at her options when she finishes grade 12 next year on if she didn't get in, which we were just pushing her, saying, yes, you will, or encouraging her, not pushing her, just encouraging her.
I think that's the thing, that you need to know what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
And I think at the stage where when I left school, that wasn't really spoken about. I was just, what do you want to do? Write 3 things down and see what you get into. So I think having someone backing you and saying, look, if you do want to get into this, and I mean, it's much like business, like where you want to go in business. You don't necessarily do that in the first year, but if you know where you want to go, these are the steps and the options that you've got to get there.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, I said this to you before, you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know if you've got 3 paths to choose from, then you're going to always choose the one that you know, and it may not be the right one.
You hear that?
Yeah, I do.
You hear the frigging dog? Yeah, don't worry, I'll edit that part out. So that will be fine on your end, but for the people watching video, that was our little mutt dog. He's very cute, but it's a pain in the ass when she barks. Like the roller door went up, so all of a sudden she would have been asleep and gone like, what the hell? And just start going into attack mode.
Well, it's more like that person that answered the door before, like knocked on the door. Like your dog start barking and it gives you a heart attack. Oh my God.
Like I tell them, I'm doing a podcast this afternoon. Can I please have some quiet? Yeah, let's chop and let's put the roller door up and down. Anyway, so we'll get back into it. So when you finished podiatry, was there a part of podiatry you sort of went, oh, this is what I really like, and these are the areas that don't interest me as much? Did you try and pursue what you loved more than the other, or you just did everything?
Look, I've always loved the nail surgery part of it, and did consider going, oh, well, maybe I should do the surgery, go on to be a surgeon, but that dwindled in my head pretty quickly. I didn't want to do any more study. I was over it.
Yeah.
I wanted to get in there. I wanted to earn some money. And I think that the business side of how things work was always active in my mind, but I didn't realize it. So the first 6 months of graduating, that was ticking over. So I knew how to talk to patients. I knew how to, make some money in podiatry, in the profession. And where I am now, I'm thinking that it probably wouldn't have mattered what career I took. It was that business side of the career that I would have been successful in it anyway. So it just happened to be podiatry, and
It's funny you should say that, because my brother and I, we have this conversation a lot, and he's a dentist. And him and I both say it wouldn't have mattered whether we'd been in healthcare or if we'd both become a tradie, doing some form of trade.
Yeah.
We probably would have had, if I had been a carpenter, I would have had one of the best carpentry businesses. Yeah. It was just something that you just wanted to, you had this, and it's like this inner voice that told you that you should just be trying to look at the business side of things, because I didn't come from a business background at all.
Yeah.
But so would you say your communication skills with, because you said early on when you were talking with patients, you had a natural ability, and some podiatrists, when you hear the word sell, all of a sudden go, no, you can't use that 4-letter word.
Well, you definitely, I think,
so you connected.
some situations. So I think it's the connection with patients that you have. And
Is it a natural
realistically,
gift?
I think that, I think some people have it and some people don't.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think that some people that are very academic have to learn that side of it. And that's really hard for them. So they have to then, I think, make a decision whether they want to do, more academic stuff part-time and then just treat patients part-time, because it doesn't come naturally to them.
Yeah.
Talking to patients came really naturally to me. My dad's a huge talker and a huge storyteller. I didn't get that gene. My sister actually got that gene. But that we were always, when we were growing up, we always had jobs. Like mum and dad used to always say, no, you got to earn your money. It just doesn't, it's not given to you. And my parents weren't wealthy, so we always had to work for what we got. And I think that was a really good basis for the business. So people always say, and you always hear people say in business, you work 6 days a week and you work really hard the first years. And it is true.
Yeah.
But when you're enjoying it, it's not, you don't make yourself work 6 days a week. It's because when you start owning a business, you have all the responsibility, and the business mind doesn't go. So you leave the clinic and it's still there. So it might be muted a little bit, but it's there 24/7. And I think that's the big difference between working for someone where you actually can shut off if you decide to, or where you own your own practice. It's fantastic on paper. It's great to, tell your friends and whatever status you want.
Yeah.
But it's that ability to have that on your shoulders 24/7. And some, after 3, 4, 5 years of that, that's going to really burn people out. And if you don't structure yourself and plan properly, it will burn you out. You won't have a choice. If you keep going that 6, 7 days, it will burn you out.
Yeah. Whereas some people can do it. Some people naturally, like I used to love when I set up my first practice. I remember being there 6:30 in the morning. The clinic wasn't opening for 2 more hours, but I was there 2 hours beforehand.
I know, same, but I loved
had
it.
nothing
I
to
loved
do.
being there early.
Had nothing to do because I didn't have any patients, but I just loved being there and moving things around. And when patients were coming, and pretty much, I'd be getting phone calls at night. When are you, my mum, because I was still living at home when I first set up, when are you coming home? Oh, what's the time? And I go, it's 8:30 at night. I'd been there for 14 hours. I couldn't wait to get back there the next day. And that lasted year after year. I just loved it. I never got tired.
Yeah, look, same. I was, I wasn't living at home the first year out. I moved up the Sunshine Coast. However, you don't have any, or what we call overheads in business. You don't really have any overheads in life.
Yeah.
You're really just centered around yourself and what you're doing. What you're saving up for is, to go on holidays. So it's a great time when you first graduate, and the first couple of years is a really exciting time.
Yeah, well, that recent episode, it was it Young,
Yes,
Single, and
that's
Poor.
right. Yeah.
And
That's
and
so
when,
true.
oh, it is. It's the most. So going back a little bit, so when you went through school, did you have a part-time job?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had 2 or 3 part-time jobs.
Okay, so what sort of jobs did you do?
Waitressing was a big one. Loved it because it came really easy. And it's really funny that I go to restaurants now and I'm thinking, why can't you take the order properly? Like why can't you smile when you put the plates down? Like it's not hard. Manners don't cost you anything. And so if you're saying please, thank you, and sorry, and if you're smiling, that doesn't cost you anything. So whether you're poor or rich, doesn't matter. And those sort of basics, I think that guides you through being a good person in life, but what business is all about, and about that service. So if you're providing that service, and they call it like old school service, but it's really just being human to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's being missed in some businesses where you're just purely focused on your end result. But if you're dealing with the public, you need to have those skills.
So that was your ability of communication again. Even as a waitress, you just had that natural ability of talking to people.
It's
and I bet you got a lot of good. Bet you got a lot of tips too.
Oh, do you know what? I did. I loved it, and that was where the business side kept in as well. Like it was and I bring my dad into this again. He always said to me, you only have to be slightly above average and you're going to succeed.
Oh,
and
the slight
when
edge.
yeah, and when you like serving people or asking them if they want another drink, and not spilling it on them when you come back, and they give you more money. And at that age, when you're 15, 16, you have no money whatsoever. So if someone hands you a $5 note, you're going, score. This is brilliant. And then someone else hands you a $5 note, and you're going, oh my God, where is all this money coming from?
And
So
you're
it
just
starts
doing
to
your
get
job.
really exciting.
But and the thing is, you're just doing your job.
I'm just doing your job. I love that saying, just do your job. Because
Have you read the
all
book?
you need to do.
Have you read the book, The Slight Edge?
No.
And the
I'm
Slight
just
Edge.
looking. I don't think I've got that in my collection.
Yeah, the Slight Edge is about, you don't need to do 90% more than everybody else to be successful. You just need to do 10% more in a number of different areas, and you will kill everybody else around you, because you're doing just that little bit more than the average person's doing, and you do that day after day. So it's like you in the restaurant. And I get annoyed when I sit in a restaurant and I only get asked once, do you want a drink? And I drink fast. So I drink that first one. I like to get it down pretty quick.
Yeah,
and when I'm sitting there, I won't ask for a second drink unless they come up and ask me for one, because I'm thinking, I'm not going to just give you my money. You need to work for my money.
Yeah.
And if they keep coming back.
It's so different these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think that, I don't know, there's not many restaurants where I've been to where I think they actually get the training to do those basics.
I don't think so. But even in podiatry, though, it'd be no different to evaluating someone in this part of your treatment plan. You're thinking this person requires a pair of custom-made orthotics. Just simply ask them a question, would you like a second pair? All it takes is you for asking, would you like a second pair? And the worst that can happen is the person says, no, one pair is fine. No one died. There was no bleeding involved. There wasn't any bandages required afterwards or tissues having to be handed out. But people won't ask that question.
Look, I think the communication side combined with the psychology side, it's half of what we do in the treatment room.
Yeah.
And you get out of uni and you've got some skills, but they still don't teach that at uni. And so it's up to the employer to go, well, what does my business stand for? And that's what we concentrate in the clinic, in the clinic that I run, is the communication and psychology of the patient. Because if they don't, and using your words, Tyson, that know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
That's so important. And I think that until you realize how important that trust is and that connection you have with the patient, you're not going to get to the appointment, the second appointment or the third appointment, because they'll just go, oh, what's the point? I'll go somewhere else and get the same treatment. So if they're thinking that they can go somewhere else and get the same treatment, you haven't done your job in the first appointment.
So how many years into practice did you set up your own business?
One. So I've been out at the end of the year, I've been out for 20 years, and I've opened my practice. I've been running the practice for 19 years.
Okay.
Slowly at first.
Yeah.
Slowly. Very slowly at first. But yes, the business name got registered.
It was but it's just that philosophy that you're talking about. So from day dot, when you open up your practice, that was your thinking. And I'm sure your communication skills with patients and explaining problems has got better as the years went on.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't come in the first couple of years. Yeah.
So what about so how old were you then when you set up the practice?
Ooh, good question. 23, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you set the practice up, were you thinking, I'm going to have the practice for so many years and then one day I'm going to have kids? Or that wasn't part of the plan?
No, that was always part of the plan.
It was always part of the plan?
It was always part of the plan, that to set up a business, to earn a lot of money, to have the ability to sell my practice at the end of the day, and that's what my retirement will be on. Kids, definitely wanted to have a lot of kids actually, and that was
how many did you want to have?
Oh, when I say a lot, maybe 3 or 4. That was,
Yeah.
okay.
How many
That
did you
would
have?
been,
How many did you end up having?
oh, I've got 1.
One. So, that makes perfect sense. Like if I played football, for example, so I used to play rugby league and rugby union. If I dislocated my shoulder and they had to do surgery on me and rip my shoulder apart while I was still awake, and I had to go through that whole pain, I would never go back out on a football field again. So how women go back and they go through childbirth and then they do it a second. And I watched my wife have a baby and I was like, mate, you guys are tough. You are so tough, because there's no way a guy would just be going, just knock me out. I don't care what you do, just knock me out and wake me up when it's all over. Because we're
yeah, look, women are strong, and I think we have so much self-doubt that we're stronger than we think. And I think that women need to really support women in definitely in business, but in all aspects of lives as well. Women can be the best thing that's happened, like for like friendship and support, but it can also be the worst thing. Women can attack each other as well. And I think that we have a choice about what we want to do. So if we are intelligent about it, we will be beside each other, helping each other grow. It doesn't have to be the other way.
Yeah, I was only talking to my mum about this yesterday. We were, I was down at the Gold Coast and I was driving to go and buy some prawns. Whenever I'm down there, we all go buy a kilo of prawns. We sit on the beach and we eat them.
Yeah.
And Mum said something, but we were just talking about her work career. And she said, I much preferred working with guys. I said, why is that? And she said, well, I didn't have to wonder what they were thinking. If they had the shits about something, you say, you got the shits. They go, yeah, I got the shits. And they just tell you why they had the shits. She said, but when I worked with women, she said, I found it really difficult that you knew they were upset about something, but they wouldn't share. They wouldn't openly share as much until the problem was a lot worse than what it should have been. And then it was hard to sort of fix up.
Oh God, if something's wrong, you can see it on my face.
But you
I think if I come into work and people just look at my face, they go, oh yeah, what's going on? And I'm very, very straight to the point. Like, it is or it isn't. So I don't think if I'm upset with someone, or not even upset, but if something's happened, I'll address it in the first 24 hours, because there's no point in going home and thinking about something. Like, just lay it out on the table, sort it here. And a lot of times it is that communication problem. Nothing's really a major problem. And this is the thing, like, you can make business as hard or as simple as you want. And I think that a lot of people overcomplicate things. And I know I have at times as well. And as you're leading your team, you always are learning every day about how to adjust things. And when there's a lot of noise around you, you can definitely overcomplicate things, and it doesn't need to happen.
So if we go back a step, when you had your child,
yeah,
did you go back to work straight away, or did you wait a while? Or
no? Well, see what happened.
And the only reason I'm asking these questions, because I know profession is probably, when I went through, it was more than 50% female. When I went through, I don't know what the exact statistics are now. I could probably go and look it up.
Yeah,
but I couldn't be bothered.
Don't bother. No one's going to care.
Who cares? Let's just say 50-50. We'll flip a coin. 50-50.
Yeah.
So there'd be a lot of people that have started the career the same way as you, maybe a lot younger now, and they're thinking about maybe having children, or, oh, should I have children first, then set up a practice? Should I set up a practice and then have children?
Yeah, look,
and it could be, I can understand how it gets really confusing and how easy as guys we have it.
Yeah. Oh, look, that's a whole nother conversation, Tyson.
Well, not only are we softer, we also have it easier.
That's right, and we'll tell you have it easier too.
Yeah, we do. I have no doubt. I never argue when a woman says to me that we've got it easier. I agree with them 100%.
Yeah. Look, it was. I've been asked this question or some advice from a lot of women podiatrists or female podiatrists. Look, I set up the practice, started working. I knew that when I had kids, I wanted to stay at home. I knew that I wanted either myself or my husband to look after the kids, because that's traditionally what happened in our family, and I just wanted that same thing.
Yeah.
So And as you do in business, when you have to plan everything, I planned that, okay, well, at this age, I'm going to start trying to have kids. And then, you know what? It didn't happen. And I think that was the biggest shock to me, that, what do you mean I can't fall pregnant straight away? What do you mean I can't have kids? I'm supposed to have them now. And this is how I plan my business. So I've already employed someone, because I knew that I needed to employ someone.
So you were just looking at male anatomy, female anatomy, the two go together, and therefore
yeah, that's that.
just
That's right.
add alcohol and everything's fine.
That's right. So I hired a receptionist. I hired my first podiatrist, and the plan was then, well, let's fall pregnant and, you know, do whatever structure I had planned for the business. That didn't happen. 3 years, 4 years down the track, still didn't happen. So I went through IVF to fall pregnant.
Yeah.
And back then, we're talking about when this whole process started for me, let's say about 15 years ago, it wasn't the IVF that we know it now. So IVF now is, you can talk about it. You can actually talk about it to your patients, because a lot of the patients, kids or grandkids or whatever, are going through it. So they are aware of this does happen.
It's emotional roller coaster too, because the podiatrist that worked for me, him and his wife were going through that thing, and it was an emotional roller coaster for him, because the hopes would get up and then, oh no, it didn't happen, and then they'll go through it again, and then they'll have to decide, is this the path we're supposed to go down? And just this doubt and hesitation. So I have seen it firsthand. It was pretty tough.
Yeah, look, the emotional side is something that I hit the brick wall. So I had no answers for it. They all the doctors didn't have answers for us either. So you're in this no man's land, and you can't go to work and share your problems, because, you know, there's that line between how much you want to tell your staff as well, even though they knew, but they don't want to see you crumbling every day that you're going into the clinic, and that's how you feel every single day. And then your patients, I mean, it's so funny that, you know, by then the connection that I had with my patients were pretty strong, but then they think that they can ask you anything or tell you anything. Oh, you know, you're putting on a bit of weight, Carly. So, that's brilliant. Thank you for that. I need to charge you more when you get out to the counter for that comment. And then
you're going to wait. You're going to wait the consultation.
I know. What is that? And then, like, just inappropriate comments, but they don't mean any malice by it. It's because they've seen you for so many years that they go, oh, you know, what's going on today? You know, you look a bit stressed, and you go, no, everything's all good. And you had all these big black bags underneath your eyes. And then people go, well, you know, you should be having kids soon. Are you going to have kids soon? And it's like, oh, you know, I don't need to sort of make these excuses.
And this is while you're going through the whole process as well.
While you're going through the whole process, at lunchtime, you have to inject yourself with drugs, because, you know, you're putting that in the fridge, and all that IVF process. I mean, there's a lot of people going through it now. But that was really tough. And you're trying to run a business pretty much now on the side of trying to have kids. So that's really your full-time job, because at the end of it, I was in and out of hospital every 6 to 8 weeks. So, and then you have to not treat. So when you're booking in patients, you know, 6, 8, 10 weeks in advance, you actually don't know whether you're going to be there or not. So it's really hard. So I stepped back from treating at that stage, because mentally I couldn't do it. Physically it was hard, but it was more of a mental challenge.
Okay, but you came out of it in the end, eventually.
Oh, absolutely.
Came
out of it.
Eventually one took.
You don't know how strong you are until you have no choice.
And what was the timing from when you first started to when you did fall pregnant and having the baby? What was the time frame?
That was probably about four and a half years, 4.5 to 5 years. Oh, I can't remember. And then we had Maggie, and then we tried for a second one, because I went, oh, this process takes a long time. So we tried for a second one, fell pregnant for the first 6 months actually, but then had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
And so therefore another emotional toll.
Yep.
And then I just gave up. I did it for another 6 months after that. And I went, I have to make a choice whether the burden I'm putting on myself is burdening my family and friends, because I shut off from some of my friends because I didn't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
And the business was plateauing, so it wasn't moving forward because I wasn't there to lead the team or to give them what they needed, because there was so much energy being drained from me that I had nothing else to give. So I had to make a decision on where I wanted to go.
Okay. So once you drew the line in the sand that Maggie was enough,
yeah,
you're going to stop at one.
yeah.
Did you take a certain amount of time off of work? Did you work part-time? What was the process of
No, I
getting
worked
back into it?
part-time. Yeah, I worked
Part-time?
part-time. Pretty much because I had that thought that I'm going to be that stay-at-home mum.
Yeah.
Probably the worst decision that I made, because leading up to it, and that mental I suppose the thinking around all the business stuff, that's exactly the opposite of what happens at home when you're looking after a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. It's that when they talk about that balance, I found that really difficult. So knowing what I know now, I would have got a full-time nanny and gone back to work. Or not even a full-time nanny, maybe I would have gone back to work 3 days a week, and I would have been a much better person if I'd done that. But my stubbornness got in the way and going, no, I want to be at home. But it was that pull as well. Like, I actually did want to be at home, but I actually wanted to be at work, and work made me really happy. But my child, I felt a lot of pressure because I'd tried to have kids for such a long period of time. And then what was everyone going to say to me when I finally had a child and then I went back to work? So I had all this pressure, and I was talking to you about before about drowning in that noise of people judging you for what you're going to do next. And I got stuck in that spiral for many years.
So in hindsight, do you think anyone really judged you, or this was just voices going on in your own head? No one was really judging you. You judged you.
I think I judge myself more than other people judge me. But then again, I don't know. I don't know. Now I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
But that was, that's me now and what I've learned down the track. But I think women, how we may think that others are judging us for what we do, that may put a barrier up into how high we set our heights of success when we have a family. And it's just a different pathway, because we have to have kids. So you go out of uni and you're going, oh, I want to own a business and I want to run it and I want to be there. But when are you going to step back and have kids? It's really hard. And then all that noise that I was talking about, should I have kids? Should I travel first? How much should I get paid? And what am I worth? And should I open a clinic? Should I work for someone else? And all those sort of things. And you just have to find your thing to block out that noise. I didn't find mine till later.
Did you because like listening to you explaining that sounds like you put the expectations on yourself early on based on how you were probably brought up. Like if you saw family members when they had children, they took time off and they looked after their kids.
Yeah.
And I look at my mum that and this will probably explain a lot about me, is that when I was 2 weeks of age, mum put me like a babysitter and went back to work.
Yeah.
So I was brought up that was the norm.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? It's that, well, as I say, that mum guilt that you have. And I think you have mum guilt forever, but
my mum said she did. She felt, but the only reason she did that is because financially that's what they had to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And she said she felt really bad having to do it, but at the same time, she said she must admit she did enjoy being back at work.
Yeah, I know. I love work so much that I think I really did myself a disservice by what I was doing. And I was lucky. My husband had a full-time job, so he could support us and he could support the business as well financially.
Yeah.
while I was trying to find my feet. And I think that's probably the lucky part of it, that I'm where I am today because of that patch where I hit the wall. We were able to maintain at a certain level.
Okay. Now the question now though, how old's your daughter now? She's 10?
No, it's her birthday today, so 10. Yep.
Yeah, she's 10.
Yep.
Because I think I recall you saying that she was coming up to her 10th birthday.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's 10. Happy birthday to Maggie.
Birthday.
Your relationship with your daughter, I take it, is pretty awesome.
It's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. So all that time of going back to work and all that didn't make her retarded in any way. I don't know. Can I say retarded these days? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
You might have to edit that one out. I don't think you can. Geez, if we only have one edit, we're doing pretty well though.
I'm going to leave it in. It'll upset someone, and if you get upset,
Probably.
just send an email to we don't care at tysonfranklin.com.
Look,
so, but yeah, she hasn't been disadvantaged or handicapped in any way because of you going back to work.
I've only really started working more in the last 6 years, I suppose.
Yeah.
5 to 6 years. It was only sort of patchy. Oh yeah, patchy up until then. Do you know what? I think there's probably a psychologist or psychiatrist that can answer the question, would it have mattered if I did go back to work earlier? Like when she was, 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
Or not? I don't know. There's obviously lots of studies around that.
There probably would be, but I'm probably out because I'm looking at it with male eyes. So all the women now have just rolled their eyes going, oh, here we go, male comment.
My story won't relate to a lot of people anyway. This is just my story, my feelings.
I reckon any male podiatrist that's listening to this, the reason I think this story is super important is because they have female podiatrists working with them.
Yeah.
And they have receptionists that may be female that are working with them.
Yeah.
So they've got to understand, like I said before, we have it friggin' easy.
Yeah.
We can do the deed and walk away.
That's a really strong point. So if you're considering hiring a female, hire her because she's going to be a really strong point in your clinic.
Yeah.
And strong point with your culture. So we have a lot to give. And a lot of times when you have that strong female as a podiatrist, if they do go away and have kids, they probably do want to come back 2 or 3 days a week. So you'll actually have them for a longer period. They just might not be full-time working. So yeah, really consider that. Yeah,
I think your relationship with your daughter sounds pretty good. So I don't think they're going to worry. So if we move ahead a number of years, you now have.
Let's do that.
You now. you now have a cracking business going really well.
Yeah.
On the Sunshine
Coast.
Coast.
Yeah.
It's got a couple of satellite locations around it. You employ 3 other podiatrists.
I do. Yes, I've just signed on a 4th.
Yeah, signed on a 4th one.
Yeah.
How is life now? Good?
I love it. I love it because I'm working a lot more than I did probably 5 years ago. And I'm a lot happier. It doesn't feel like work, but I've realized my niche in the business is I've stepped away from treating patients a lot. So that quote, get off the dance floor and get on the balcony. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm on the balcony, I'm looking at my business and I'm loving that.
Explain what that saying means. You and I had this conversation about getting off the dance floor and getting on the balcony.
When you're in the dance floor, you can't see anything but from what's in front of you. So say you're at a nightclub and you're on the dance floor, you're dancing away, you're sort of self-consumed in this little space. But when you go up and stand on the balcony and then you look down on the dance floor and look down at the club, you can see everything happening. You can see the bartenders, you can see the security at the door, you can see the people dancing, you know how it's operating, but you have to step back from that. So you can't, if you think that you want to scale your business or you're having problems in your business and you don't have enough time, just have a think about your end goal and are you giving yourself enough time to reach that or putting enough energy into that. So if you're on the tools for 4 days a week and your higher staff, you've got this like multiple employees, there's not enough time for you to stand on that balcony. and
Yeah,
to
one
see
day,
how it
one day a
goes.
week's not going to cut it.
One day a week isn't going to cut it. And that one day a week, you're actually observing and planning. It's not actually a doing time. So you do need that second and third day just to implement things and then have time to talk to your staff. So where I am now, it's more about the people in my business. That's my main or half of what I do. And then the technical stuff like treating, I treat maybe half a day every couple of weeks. And it's a novelty for me now.
Yeah.
So it's I love where I'm at because I'm doing all leadership stuff and stuff in business that is exciting for me. It's like when I first graduated, it's exciting for me now.
And that's how it should be. 20 years
Yeah.
later, you're still excited about going to work each day. And I do think that getting off the dance floor and on the balcony, I'm just picturing it, like at the moment, MasterChef is on. I enjoy cooking. And I enjoy watching MasterChef, but it's funny that you say it, that they'll be standing up there watching the competitors cooking something. Yeah. And from the balcony, they're yelling out, "You're burning something." And the person is they're doing something at the other end of the bench. They can't see the other end of the bench where something is burning and there's a mistake. They can yell out and point it out. Yeah. So you, as the business owner getting on the balcony, you can orchestrate what is actually happening and you can do it better because you're looking at it from the top down.
Yeah, look, that's right. It's a different, and I think that you need to realize it's a different skill set. So
where did you learn the skill?
Sorry?
So the skill of leadership, where did you learn to lead the team?
You learn from mistakes. You learn from having.
Are there any easier ways?
Do you know what?
It is mistakes. Mistakes are helpful sometimes.
Look, they are. There is no secret to running a business well. It's time. It's if you make a mistake, if you learn from it and move forward, that's your growth. So yeah, you can't just open up a business and expect in the first couple of years it's going to go gangbusters and you're going to have all this extra knowledge. Just because you put a label on something doesn't mean you're good at it. And true. I think that I'm striving to be a master of my craft, and that's what I'm enjoying. So things that I implement and it doesn't work, well, it doesn't work, but it's taught me not to do that and to do something else. So that's
I think that's a good point. So it's even like you did the 12-week reboot with me.
Yeah.
And no matter even what you learn in the 12-week reboot, even if someone was just starting a practice and everything they learn in that is going to help them have a better practice. But how many things have we talked about as a group thing after that there's just so many, and it's never ending. It's never ending. It's always learning.
And this is the thing. I think that people go, they stop doing CPD every year because what else can I learn?
Yeah.
Oh my God, there is so much out there to learn. And if you take off your blinkers and actually, you know what some people forget to do? They forget to listen. So if you listen to people around you, if you surround yourself with people who are better at the craft you're trying to learn, if you surround yourself with those people and you listen and you absorb the information and give yourself time to absorb, you are going to get better. And this is the learning process. So where I am now, even though I've got a successful business, that I'm continuing learning all the time, and I can't see that ending. Because you're just getting better and better and better at it, and you're inviting people into your life that have done different things in business in a different way, and that's okay, because you can take bits and pieces of what they've done and what they've done incorrectly and just going, well, I'm not going to do that, but I will do this because that suits me. That's really exciting to implement those things.
Well, yeah, Carly, I told you were going to be an awesome guest.
Oh, thank you.
You said, I don't have anything to say.
I haven't stopped talking.
And I think you've had heaps to say. So before we finish up, have you got one final tip? And have you got one final tip that, whether it's targeted towards female podiatrists or just podiatry or business, have you got one tip that you'd like to finish up with before we wrap up?
Oh, man, I have. I live by quotes. I love quotes, but
so do I.
It's probably if everyone can be more self-aware. And the comparison, everyone compares themselves to others or to other podiatrists, and it's not fair. So if you're on chapter 1, stop comparing yourself to someone who's on chapter 20.
Yeah.
So it's, be realistic about where you are now and where you need to be, and don't compare yourself to those people. Compare yourself to the progression that you've made over the last year.
Yeah. And like you said earlier on, even when it's just to do with the CPD, it's every year, try and learn something new. Try and at the end of a year, be a better podiatrist, husband, father, whatever it is. Just try and learn skills throughout the year just to make yourself a better person.
Yeah.
So,
right.
So, Carly, I want to thank you for coming on the Podiatry Legends podcast and being an absolute legend, as I knew you would. I knew I'd drag goodness out of you. and I want to get you back at some stage because I want to talk about the subject. We're going to finish with this quote that you said to keep people intrigued, but I don't need to tell anything about it because we'll talk about it in another episode. That quote you said about the hill.
Oh, gosh, this comes up to, do you want me to say the quote?
Yeah, I want you to say the quote.
Yeah, the quote, just be careful, is this the hill you want to die on?
Okay.
And that oh no, okay.
Don't tell me anything about it. Say that quote again and say that quote again.
Is this the hill you want to die on?
Okay, so we are going to do another episode at some stage about, is this the hill you want to die on?
Oh, I've got lots to say about that one.
And it is a great subject. We spoke about this. We've spoken about this a couple of times now.
Yeah.
So I want to get you back to talk about that.
Yeah,
so
sure.
when you see this episode in the future that comes out, is this the hill you want to die on? You're going to go, oh, this is the one that Carly was talking about. And you know how good she was today. So, the next one will be even better.
Gee, thanks. Thanks for those kind words.
But the next one will be even better.
No.
Yeah, so when I do the next one, I go, well, you know how ordinary she was in the last one. No, I won't say that.
Right, she was rubbish.
Yeah.
Everyone switched off halfway.
Nobody listened to it. So, Carly, I can't get you back because no one listened to the first one. So Carly, I want to thank you for coming on. You have been awesome. Thank you very much.